right, so I've got a couple of questions for these guys, then we're gonna open it up to your questions. And then at the end of these panels, we're gonna bring our panels down over to the side of the stage and give you 10 minutes of kind of more one-on-one time with them before we start the next panel. So that's kind of how the day's gonna work. So let's start. So, season 2, what can we expect? I mean, what's going on?
I thought we were just remaking season 1.
Yeah.
That was the, I mean, we're shooting.
We were adapting season 1
It's
into an adaptation of the British
it's
series.
reimagining.
And then when that didn't happen, what happened?
Right, sorry.
Crazy stuff happened. It gets really dark this year.
Yeah.
Really, really, really dark this year.
Yeah, it should be called Welcome to the Dark Side. Being
Nice.
human.
Welcome to the dark side.
Dark
Being
side of
human.
the being human.
This time it's personal.
Transformers.
Dark of
the being human.
And give us a little more than that. So, I mean, that's fantastic. You've obviously been very well prepped.
Well, I can say that we kind of all go off on our own independent paths this year, respective paths that are all obviously interlaced with one another. But yeah, they're quite dark. I think we all had a tremendous amount of growth in the first season that was kind of leading up to all of us making decisions about whether to kind of, as the ad clearly stipulates, let the temptation in. And I think that I can speak for my character anyway. It's really a lot of it is about trying to keep others away from the temptation. So it's a lot of clinging on to what I want, which is normalcy. So.
Yeah, I think I'll speak for Sally. Season 2, she's dealing with, I mean, we pick up, what is it, a month after we left off?
Yeah, roughly.
So, for Sally, she's dealing with the consequences of missing her door and what that means to her. She's dealing also with a lot of temptation in regards to her exploring more of the rules of the afterlife and really sort of discovering new things that she can do and coming into new powers, a lot of which are very dangerous and addictive and painful for people around her. And so she's battling with that a lot and meeting a lot of new characters. I think there's tons of new characters on the show this year. We're very blessed with the new guest cast. Do you want us to talk about Meaghan or not? Yeah.
Do we need to?
Talk a little bit about the guest cast. It's a good entree to Aiden's character and
Okay.
we have a new.
Well, so we have Deacon Lockman this year, who's playing Surin, who is a very old vampire. How old is she?
Over 700 years old.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And
That's old. I thought she was like 37.
really, really old vampire.
Really old.
Old.
Yeah.
And then we also have Kyle Schmidt, who plays Henry, who's an awesome addition.
Yeah. Aiden is, he's dealing with, there's all these really neat identity issues throughout this season, because as we saw last year, we went back to a few time periods, we went to the 50s, we went to the 70s. Well, we're going way back to the 80s. We learned Aiden was a guitar player in the band. Bishop was a singer, and there's this whole thing of well, I want to be the singer, you be the guitar player. It's
a story you've seen 100 times.
Because we always know between the singer and the guitar player, there's conflict.
Yeah,
and it's just baked into that story. No, we go back to the 30s, and we discover a time when the vampires weren't taking these awful day jobs that they didn't want to be taking, and they didn't have to hide as hardcore as they do in modern day. And then we even go back to 1918 and we learn what happened before them. We discover Aiden perhaps at the height of his influence and power, and he's doing really, really well. And we learn why they were all scattered and sent into the shadows, and they all hide. And so, as I talk about this identity thing, we really get a strong contrast for who Aiden was, and this ideal Aiden. Everyone's talking about him, and you get to see him, and they talk about how he was the ideal vampire. And then we learn, and then of course we know a lot about how Aiden is trying to be in these last 2 years since, he's known you.
Right.
And he just keeps having options removed and avenues of escape, and he's having all these things taken away from him. And once you have all your options taken away, you really do learn who you really are. Not who you want to be, and not who you were, but who you are. And that's one of the scary things that he goes through this season.
Plus, there's sex.
Yeah.
That's frightening, right?
So,
Oh, yeah.
you guys have a lot of kind of old loves return, and you mentioned the 30s, and talk about that a little bit in terms of some of the things that you guys grapple with in terms of relationships.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Romance with Josh's grandmother.
Yeah. Aiden has a big time romance with my granny.
Yeah.
It's wonderful, guys. It's epic. No, I for Josh anyway, he has. I don't know actually how much I'm allowed to reveal. In the notes that we were given, it just says Josh's a romance from his past comes back in an unexpected way. So
that's great.
Do you like that?
I like that.
I even did the air
Take
quotes
it.
there. But that, one thing I can say is, Nora is still a huge part of Josh's life at the end of season 1. That continues into season 2 and gets very, very complicated when said romance from his past comes back. It's cool for Josh because his need and his want in life is the thing that he finds most difficult to achieve. So it's and hurting other people is his biggest fear, and he's a lover, and it's really, really difficult for him, which has been really fun for me to play. So I think you guys are going to enjoy it. It's going to be something that maybe you've experienced yourself in life. So hopefully that will be the case. Maybe less painful, with less hair and blood.
In the werewolf part.
Yeah, the whole werewolf thing, I don't know if any of you are, but it's unfortunate if you are. It's not fun. It's painful.
Aiden's old love interest is, is this Surin character that we mentioned, that by teaching Lockman. And it's interesting because, how many of us have been in situations where we had a major longing for someone, and then maybe a year or two down the road, we actually have an opportunity to be with that person, and maybe it isn't everything that you thought it would be, and it's trying to figure out, because Aiden had this old love back in the 30s that he had these feelings for, but he was quite literally a different person back then. So to reconnect with that, what does that mean for him, and where is that going to go, and is it the best thing for him, and what does he think about all this? I mean, does he know that he's perhaps getting himself into trouble, or is this even what he wants anymore? It's very strange, but he gets very caught up in this and all these identity issues that come up.
And well, for Sally, her whole thing is trying to find a purpose, and in her death, I mean, that was her goal in life, is to have an effect on somebody and feel like she's contributing in some way to the world, and that never happened. So in her death, her longings are the same. She wants to feel important and special and unique, and so she falls for someone who's living in life and tries to be with him and will do whatever it takes to be with him, which also falls into the whole dangerous category that I was talking about before.
Addictive.
Yeah, your story is really awesome.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so original and imaginative.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say that I know that Anna and Jeremy going into season 2, one of the big things was Sally's character is a dangerous character because she's a homebody, and there's a danger of that storyline really becoming stagnant, and they completely went the other way. It just takes off in such an amazing way this year. So
Well, it's wonderful because it starts like you think you've seen it before,
Right,
and
yeah,
then it goes, just spiraled out of control.
Yeah, it's really nicely balanced too and paced. They've really spread it out nicely.
yeah.
And made the arc really, really even.
Love that.
So we're gonna open up to your questions. Before we jump in, though, I have one last one, which is, what about Bishop? Like, does he come back?
We might see Bishop again. I mean, you have to remember, we have 200 years of history being that guy, so you never know when he just kind of shows up. And Mark Pellegrino is just, I mean, he's tremendous, that guy.
Yeah,
He's fun.
I'm super excited for a couple of things that we've done.
Yeah.
Mark has been back in a small capacity this year, and it's just been so awesome.
Some of the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go to your questions with mics. So,
Sagers, you don't get to ask questions. I'm sorry.
My question is, how are you feeling after that roller coaster last night?
We were all talking about that this morning.
A little jostled?
Yeah. We're thinking like, do children, is there a study that's been taken of like long-term effects of
I feel like I have a great
consistent,
Yeah. I can tell you this, your personality has changed fundamentally.
Yeah, you can't
It's a lot more
tell.
violent.
Yeah, but everybody else can see it.
Yeah,
You
it's
are different.
It's like Phineas Gage, you got the railroad spike through his skull. You turn into a different person, and that's you. That's you.
I feel different.
Yeah.
But my real question is, how important is it to explore the origins of the actual, not your characters, but the creatures? I mean, would we ever see like the beginning of the vampire race, or like the very first werewolf, or like, you know, really, really old ghost? Like, is that important, or is it more about just being in the now and the recent past?
In the vampire story, we do go into those directions, and you know, so it gets a little out there, you know. I mean, the challenge is to make that as human as possible, because you know, with this show, say we're lucky enough to go several seasons, the gimme is just having people deal with humanity, and you can do that, and that's our show. But we do attempt to go off into this into a little bit more of an old school vampire direction. We hope you like it.
I think the show plays the best when it is grounded in some sort of reality. I think the Aiden plotline this year is something that's amazingly cool and going to be super fun to watch. But to be honest, my favorite stuff is when we're all just together.
Yeah.
You know, being normal with our afflictions.
Which, as this season continues,
Yeah.
we find that these people crash together,
Yeah.
and suddenly have to deal with each other in very meaningful ways.
Thank you.
Hello.
And as promised, here's my political question of the day.
No, we talked about this. I was begging you.
Don't do this. Don't do this. You don't have to do this.
Actually, my serious question is, what's the most memorable moment that you guys have experienced while filming this show?
I don't
I
remember.
can't answer the political question.
Do you mean the three of us together?
Together or separately?
Well, these guys are the reason I come to work, basically. For me, you know. I'm not a morning person, so every morning I'm like, ugh. And then if I see them, then I feel
I think
better.
although that is with the disclaimer of, I think you would, if you could, sleep 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Witwer sleeps everywhere.
Literally, he's like, oh God, you know what, I'm gonna go back to sleep. It's 5 p.m.
It's 5 p.m. Well, I start waking up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
That's when I'm okay.
That's
Right,
right.
to
yeah.
send your emails.
I've been typecast. I'm a night person.
Yeah. Most memorable, I'm really trying to think of like one.
Yeah. I'll say, for me, it was, I mean, I always say this, but this was one of my favorite moments. This is in episode 2 of the first season, when we did the sort of that fantasy sequence where Sally's flying down the stairs. That, to me, was so special, and it was right at the beginning of our shoot, and it was really a moment with me and the crew, and our directors and writers, and it was really
Yeah, which is
nice.
weird because it didn't play.
Yeah, it didn't work.
It didn't work. You watch the episode, you're like, oh God, this is boring.
What she knows is fine.
Yeah,
Weird. Didn't know she could do that.
Just a little, it's just a little.
Well, it meant a lot to me.
It's a little childish.
Yeah. Yeah. Peter Pan now all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But you know, aside from working with these two jokers, when we had Mark back this year, because he's one of the architects of the show. He's
Right.
one of the guys that built the show with us. So when we had him back, I felt like that was some of my best stuff this year. You know, I really felt like we were on fire and doing some really cool stuff that was, by the way, different than what we've seen from those two characters.
Right. Very different.
There's Mark is so good. There's very little that he has to say to me to get under my skin as an actor, and we just, you know, go back and forth. And then between days we were working, we were just hanging out in my place playing Left 4 Dead together.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
Just a couple of dudes.
Yes, dudes.
Just getting,
Shirtless and with-
yep.
Just, well, no, you
Shirtless,
take your
sweatpants.
shirt off.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
Yeah,
No, come on in.
Yeah.
Take your shirt off. Don't be weird about it.
Don't make this weird.
Don't make this weird.
for
Here,
me.
take the Xbox controller. No, sit closer. Take your shirt off.
Exactly. If you're not going to take your shirt off, get
Your
out.
feet look so tense. Let me rub those for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I had a moment actually this year with Nora that is, it was, I think it's in episode 3 this coming season. So I actually really can't talk too much about it, but it's very, 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 very emotional and hits really close to home for me. And
Which one? All the stuff you with you and Nora has been awesome.
yeah, I'm very happy with all that stuff this year, to be honest. But there's one scene in particular that I think is going to be a very, very difficult scene for people to watch, especially people who have gone through what we're going through, because it's a very human thing. So anyway, like that.
I think we have time for one more. Over here.
Hey guys, absolutely loving the show.
I absolutely love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing I wanted to ask is how much of the effects are like makeup and digital? I mean, like the black eyes and stuff, do you have to wear contact lenses and flying down the stairs? Do they have you on a cable, or is that going to be done later, digital?
Well, for me, anything with flying and the levitation is, they make a body cast for me. So when I was on my stomach flying down, it was a front, what?
Because she would walk on stage and go, "Hey guys, look at my body
thing
cast."
is
And she's
You
wearing
can't bend your knees
The
and it
body,
goes
she's
fast and
strapped
walking
into
like
the body
this,
cast.
and she's got this pole coming out of her.
Oh yeah, so yeah, there's a pole coming out of my stomach and you know, 2 or 3 large men just pretty much tip me over and impale me on this giant steak that's sticking out of a green
The magic of
studio.
movie making.
Normal
It's
day
all
at
very
work.
glamorous.
Really normal day at work.
The eyes and the fangs are you wear them. They're contacts and fangs. I have a very easy job. You don't. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, what I was going to say is it's like 50-50, right? So like with it's half practical, and the practical side of it enables you to fill in the blanks with CG. So it's like Megan's bedpan or Witwer's fangs and eyes, like so yeah, call it bedpan. The CG will make his eyes snap black. But then from that point on, he's wearing the contacts.
Yeah.
Whereas the fangs grow as CG, obviously, but then...
Unless we're doing a fight scene 3 feet away from a 30-foot drop, which we did.
Right.
With no railing or anything.
Right.
Okay, sure, let's shoot it. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, we did.
It was the last shot of the day.
It was, and
At
what made it
least
safer is it was
yeah.
at 4 a.m.
And really tired, too.
Really tired,
Yeah. My stuff is a lot of practical, physical makeup effects, which is both fun and exhausting. And it's in stages, so in between the stages, there's computer-generated stuff that complicates you in between, fills in the blanks. It's like really like right down the middle, 50-50.